Your dog just took a treat, walked away from you, and buried it in the couch cushions. Or they took a piece of kibble, carried it across the room, and shoved it under a blanket. Or they went outside and dug a hole, placed the food inside, and covered it with dirt, using their nose carefully, and you're standing there watching this unfold, wondering why your dog, who has access to food every single day, is hiding it like they're preparing for an apocalypse that will never come. Most people assume it's instinct, and they're right, but instinct is the starting point, not the full explanation. Researchers studying food caching behavior, resource guarding, and scarcity response in canids have found something deeper. When dogs hide food, they're not just following a genetic script blindly. They're making decisions about what to hide, where to hide it, whether the hiding spot is secure, whether other animals are watching, and whether they'll remember where they put it when they need it later. That treat buried in your couch isn't random. It's strategy. Let's start with the evolutionary foundation, because this behavior didn't originate with dogs. It came from wolves. Wolves are feast or famine hunters. When they make a kill, they eat as much as they can in one sitting, sometimes consuming 20% of their body weight in a single meal. But they can't eat everything. Leaving the carcass exposed means others will take it. Scavengers, other predators, even other wolf packs. So wolves cache. They tear off chunks of meat, carry them away from the kill site, dig a hole, bury the food, and cover it carefully. Hours or days later, when hungry again, they return and dig it up. Food caching is a survival strategy. It extends the value of a single kill. It reduces competition. It creates a personal food reserve. Dogs inherited that behavior. 15,000 years of domestication didn't erase it. Most dogs have never experienced food scarcity. They've never had to hunt. They get fed on a schedule, and yet the caching instinct persists. Not in every dog, not in every situation, but it's there, latent, waiting for the right trigger to activate it. So what triggers it? The most common trigger is abundance. If your dog has more food than they can eat in one sitting, especially high-value food, treats, bones, something they really like, the instinct to save it for later activates. They're not hungry right now, but their brain is predicting future hunger, so they cache. The food is valuable. They can't consume it all, so they hide it. That's not hoarding, that's resource management. The second trigger is perceived competition. If you have multiple dogs, the dog who hides food is often the one who feels less secure about access. They're not necessarily the lowest-ranking dog. They're the dog who's learned that food can be taken away, so they remove it from the competitive space and hide it somewhere private. In multi-dog households, you'll often see one dog caching while others don't. It's not random. The dog who caches is experiencing resource insecurity. The third trigger is novelty. If you give your dog something they've never had before, something that smells different, tastes different, feels different in their mouth, they might hide it, not because they don't like it, because they're uncertain. The brain is running a cost-benefit analysis. This is valuable. I don't know if I'll get it again. I should save it. The decision to cache is conservative. Better to hide it and have it later than consume it now and lose the opportunity forever. Now let's talk about what happens after the food is hidden, because this is where it gets cognitively interesting. Some dogs remember where they hid things, others don't. Memory for cache locations is variable across species. Squirrels are exceptional. They remember thousands of cache sites across months. Dogs are less reliable. They remember some, they forget others. And sometimes they hide food, forget about it, and you find it weeks later. Moldy and decomposing, shoved behind furniture. That's not failure. That's the cost of caching in an environment. Where food is always available, the instinct to hide food is still active. But the pressure to retrieve it isn't. In the wild, a wolf who forgets loses a meal. That's costly. In your home, your dog forgets, and nothing happens. They get fed again tomorrow, so the behavior persists without memory being selected for. But some dogs do remember, and when they do, it's impressive. They'll retrieve cached food days later from locations you forgot about, demonstrating they've maintained spatial memory of the hiding spot. That requires episodic-like memory. The dog has to remember, not just where they put something, but that they put something there at all. That's higher-order cognition in action. Now let's talk about the in-home version, because it looks different. If your dog hides food in blankets, couch cushions, or your bed, they're not trying to bury it traditionally, they're covering it. The behavior is abbreviated. In the wild they dig, place food, cover with dirt, tamp it down with their nose. In your home they can't dig through fabric. So they improvise, shove the food under something, and push fabric over it. The motor sequence is the same. The material is different. That's behavioral flexibility, adapting an instinctive behavior to a new environment. But here's the variable most people don't consider. Not all food hiding is caching. Sometimes it's resource guarding. If your dog takes food and hides it, then becomes tense or aggressive. When you approach the hiding spot, that's not caching. That's guarding. The dog isn't saving it for later. They're protecting it now. Resource guarding is a separate behavior with different motivations. Caching is about future access. Guarding is about current control. The distinction matters because the intervention is completely different. If your dog is caching, you don't need to intervene. It's harmless vestigial behavior. Let them do it. If they're guarding, that can escalate and needs professional help. There's also a stress component. Some dogs cache more when they're anxious. It's a self-soothing behavior. The act of hiding food gives them something to do, a task to focus on, which reduces arousal. If your dog suddenly starts caching frequently and they didn't before, check for stressors: new pet, new person, change in routine, moving, construction noise. Something is making them feel insecure, and caching is a behavioral outlet. It's not the problem, it's the symptom. Now let's talk about whether you should stop the behavior. In most cases, you don't need to. If your dog hides a treat in the couch and forgets about it, you'll find it eventually. Annoying, but harmless. If they bury bones in the yard, same thing. It's not hurting anyone. But if caching is creating problems, food rotting, attracting pests, the dog becoming possessive over cached items, then you need to manage it. The solution isn't punishment, it's reducing the trigger. Don't give more food than they can eat in one sitting. Offer high-value treats in smaller portions. If you give a bone, supervise. Remove it after a set time. Remove the abundance, and the caching instinct settles. You're not suppressing the behavior, you're removing the condition that activates it. So the next time your dog takes a treat and disappears to hide it somewhere, here's what's happening. Their brain has activated a food caching protocol. Inherited from wolves, they've assessed the value of the food, determined they can't or don't want to consume it now, and decided to save it for later. They've selected a hiding spot. Based on security and accessibility, they've covered it using available materials. And depending on their memory, they may or may not retrieve it later. That's not weird. That's resource management. That's a brain shaped by thousands of years of feast or famine survival, making the best decision it can in an environment where famine never comes. Your dog doesn't know they'll be fed again tomorrow. Their instincts don't account for that, so they cache just in case. That's not dysfunction. That's evolution doing exactly what it was built to do, even when it's no longer necessary. If this changed how you see your dog's food hiding, subscribe and drop a comment. Does your dog hide food, and have you ever found their hidden stash? And if you've ever wondered why your dog greets you at the door, like you've been gone for years when you were only gone for an hour, that's the next video, and the science of reunion behavior will show you. It's not about time, it's about uncertainty. and it changes everything.